Continuing today's workshop on supporting temporary distance learning, we are wrapping up with the section everyone's been waiting for. What do you do when technology breaks? I said this in the introduction, but things are going to go wrong online. Things go wrong in person. It's not a feature of online learning that things go wrong. It's just a part of teaching. How things go wrong, of course, will be very different in the online environment um, relative to the in-person environment, or rather can be very different. So I'm going to review some common things that can happen. I'll provide some tips that you as a support person can make use of if you are the one that has to navigate those problems. And then I'll also touch on some general guidance that is broadly applicable right now. So what could go wrong? Let's say a tool doesn't work right away. You try to send people into breakout groups for small group discussion, or you try to screen share a document on your computer and it's just not working. That can happen. Maybe everything is working as it should, but the instructor can't get into the online classroom. You need an instructor, right? You can't have a class without an instructor. Maybe everything is working, the instructor can't get in, but students keep losing access. And that can be really demoralizing for a student. And also, just how do you pay attention and interact if you keep getting bounced out of your online classroom? Maybe everyone is there, everything is working as it should, but no one is engaged. Just like you have those moments in person, it's just crickets when you think you've got a phenomenal discussion prompt, no one is anything. Let's say everything's working, students are interacting, the instructor is there, students are in the room, but everything crashes, everything just breaks, it freezes, people are booted out, nothing works anymore. All of those things could go wrong. They don't often go wrong all at once in the same class. They could all happen. There are things you can do for each of them. If a tool doesn't work right away, consider if that tool is necessary, if you absolutely need to have people working in small groups, for instance, or if it's just desired. If it would be nice to have people working in small groups. If it's necessary, pause, be transparent. Looks like this isn't working. I'm going to try it again, and then try again. If the tool is desired, scrap it. Don't worry about trying to make it work, and just try another mode of interaction or engagement. That happens frequently in the online programming that I support. If something doesn't work as we thought it would, if instructors are suddenly short on time, then I as a support person might let them know, hey, we have 15 minutes left, and I know you wanted to have a 30-minute breakout discussion for students. You should try changing that. On the fly, they'll modify their plans and say, have a whole group discussion, or turn that discussion into, a mini lecture with lots of interaction in the chat window. So there are things you can do if tools don't work right away. Let's say the instructor can't get into an online classroom. That is always nerve-wracking. As a support person, I should have really, the actual step one is breathe, calm down. I've been supporting online programming with CIRTL for about 5 years now, and I still have to remind myself to calm down when things don't go. Many web conferencing tools that are used in academia are browser-based and may work better if you access them through one browser versus another. So that's a tip you can share to the instructor. Try a different browser. If that doesn't work, every web conferencing tool has a call-in option. Have them call in. Not ideal because they can't see slides, they can't see visuals, but they can call in, they can get connected. If students keep losing access, and this also goes for instructors as well, Avoid high bandwidth activities like breakout rooms, screen sharing, webcams. If those activities and tools are desired and not necessary, don't use them. And then step 2, students can always call in as well. If no one is engaged, I mean, that is a problem that certainly happens in person, but as well, but how you address it in an online environment might look a little different. You can pause your plan and check in. You can do a quick poll. What do students want more of, less of? Do they need a break? And when you check in with students around engagement, it might be just as helpful to ask if they're engaged with the content as it would be to ask if they're engaged with your format and method of instruction. And these are things that a support person you can share with instructors so that they have ideas for how to respond to these. I recognize that this particular recommendation may be a little beyond what a TA or a Center for Teaching and Learning staff may be able to implement themselves. If everything crashes, first of all, my condolences. That is a stressful situation to be in. And second of all, have a plan B. And this is something that a support person most certainly can do with an instructor before you even move, before you even have your first synchronous online session. Make sure that the instructor has thought through a plan B if everything crashes. So what that might mean is if things crash, the instructor will email students, post a reading or an assignment or a handout on the LMS, and start a discussion forum that students can weigh in on at a later date. What the plan is matters less than the fact that there is a plan and that plan has been communicated with students so that if we need to use it, everyone is on the same page about what to expect. Stepping back and speaking more generally, there are also a few things that you could just do regardless of what the source problem is. First of all, and this is so important, remind yourself you may know the content, you may even know how to support online learning. You have never done this in a global pandemic. It is okay for things that usually go right to go wrong. It is okay for things that you usually know how to do well to be imperfect. For instance, I don't think that was a grammatically sound sentence. Normally, I know how to speak with correct grammar. Be gentle with yourselves. I hope we can all be gentle with ourselves, and I hope that we are working with people with that mentality as well. This is absolutely a unique time, and we are all carrying different mental, physical, emotional, financial burdens right now. And we can't keep a barrier between that and our work at this point. It's okay to be a whole human who is deeply impacted by what's happening. Okay, moving on. Another general tip, be transparent. Everyone's learning as we go right now. If something breaks or doesn't work as it should, don't try and paper over that. Just say, oh, this isn't working as I thought it would. I'm gonna try it again, or I'm going to try this other thing. Sorry about that. Speaking as someone who has attended a lot of online synchronous stuff, it always feels much less awkward when we get that acknowledgement as opposed to confused silence where everyone is probably thinking the same thing, but no one hearing it. Also, think of tech support as we're making things work in the moment. Outside of sessions, you can refer students to help pages for whatever tools you're using, for whatever platforms you're using. You can work with students to try and troubleshoot what went wrong. As long as they can interact here, follow along in the moment in some capacity, that's what matters. And then lastly, familiarize yourself with the support pages for whatever tools you'll be sharing, and share them with students and instructors. You can post these on your LMS. You can share them in a welcome email with students, especially right now, as so many people are suddenly transitioning to online learning. These synchronous forms are providing a lot of helpful support on their own, and there is no need to recreate the wheel and try and do that yourself. At this point, if this were a live synchronous session, I would wrap up, ask for general comments, questions. As you can see in the bottom corner of this slide, I would invite those in the chat window. People could also raise their hand and speak up. Any of that would be welcome. Thank you all for watching on YouTube. I really appreciate that you've taken time to go through this content. I hope it was helpful. As I mentioned in an earlier section of this workshop, CIRTL is working hard to figure out how we can support people in this unique time. If there are other things we could do that would help, let us know at the link here. We'll also share that link in the description for this video. Thank you so much, everyone, and best of luck to you as you wrap up your spring semesters.